Hello and a warm welcome back to the WenDirkCast. As always, we're your hosts, Jimbo and Calvinator, and we'll be discussing latest MFL updates, transfers and developments, and so much more that has gone on over the last week or so. One important note before we kick off this episode, none of what we chat about is financial advice. Do your own scouting or hire a director of Metaverse football. Calva, we're getting towards the halfway point in the season. How's it going?
It's going very well. Well, not for all my teams, but more about it later. But yeah, definitely very exciting. There's a drop coming up. There is transfer window. The cups, the elimination point is almost there, or some teams already have been eliminated. But it's fun that the season's heating up. And also fun is that we have another manager spotlight today. Ooh. And it almost starts to feel like we're poaching guests from the MFL Ramble, because last week we had Nepenthes Nep on here, and he recently joined the pod with another new user who is very passionate about MFL, who's been very active in the community, also in the sales bot, super active, and who loves to talk MFL. So we welcome him to the pod. OrangeFly, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. Thank you guys so much for having me. You know, this game kind of came out of nowhere for me. You know, for a lot of people that don't know me, I started like It's So Rare and stuff like that. And just, I wanted something else. And this game showed up. I was like, what is this? And, you know, you click the link and you're like, we'll see what it looks like. You're like, okay. 2D sims of things. But then you're just like, this is addicting. This is really, really fun.
Yeah.
Like, how do I compete? I want to be better at this. Like, what do I do? Who do I talk to? Like, all of these questions. And then, like, okay, you're going to decide to go. And you're just like, oh, man, what do I do now? And it's just like, open up my wallet. Like, do I have patience? Like, the answer is no. I certainly do not have patience. So I appreciate you guys having me on here. I can't wait to talk about it because I'm still trying to learn. Like, I am, I'm like a week and a half, 2 weeks into actually playing matches. So I'm still trying to figure out all the nooks and crannies to like wedge myself into, figure out how to actually make my strikers score direct one-on-one goals,
We know the answer. Stuff. Let us know, yeah.
just don't do it. Like play wingers instead.
Great.
Yeah.
So well, I would say both me and Jimbo, we also still have a lot to learn, especially tactics-wise, testing-wise. Engine keeps changing, but yeah, we'll talk all about it later, about your journey, about your goals, strategy, tactics, etc. in the proper manager spotlight segment. Before we start with our usual updates, Jimbo, you did another great stream, I think.
Yes, stream on Thursday. Yeah, it was great. Another like 2.5 hours or so, just a nice watch along party. Just nice chilled out watching people's games, which is great fun. OrangeFly, I'm pretty sure you jumped in as well. You asked about one of your games on if there was if there was time to, because you knew in your first game you were going to get smacked, which I think was in maybe I think it was 2 minutes. You went 1-0 down, and we were like, "Oh, okay then. Maybe if anyone else wants to watch a game, we'll put yours on instead. You don't have to watch your teams get a battering."
And I tell you what, like that, the cast is incredible. You pop into the MFL main site and it's just there, and so I'm watching my match in one screen. I'm listening to Jimbo narrate it in another screen, and I'm also streaming it elsewhere. And my wife was like, "What is wrong with you? Who is this guy that's talking? Why are you OrangeFly? Like, what's happening?" And so, yeah, that match, and we'll talk about like my manager journey. But yeah, it was one of those things where like, I hope I don't lose by more than 5 goals. And I think I lost by 3. I was pretty excited about that.
I remember you saying that exact message, saying, "I don't want to lose by more than 5." But yeah, no, the stream was great. Obviously, big news coming this week, or in 2 days' time from when you're listening to this, is that Wednesday the 19th will be the mid-season pack drop. So as always, Calva and I will be live 1 hour before the drop, doing our quiz, we can win MFL. We'll be showing packs on stream. We'll be buying packs. Hopefully everyone watching will be able to get some packs and get some luck this time as well. The preseason pack drop we had for season 3, everyone's packs were pretty ass compared to previous seasons. I think we can all agree on. There was no mega upgrade or no mega pull of some, stupidly young, high rare player. So hopefully we've we've built up that luck over the last couple of weeks with the results of our teams, and we're going to unleash it on Wednesday. We should be, yeah. So we've got a lot of fun to look forward to. Those streams are always super fun, and we always get super great turnouts as well, which is great. There's free MFL to win, so what's not to like about that?
Yeah.
So what do you consider a good pack? Because from a new user's perspective, like what is actually a good pack? Because I bought a bunch of rares, and I bought a rare pack, and I got 2 rares, and I was like, ooh, this is fantastic. This is great.
That's pretty good.
And then you're like, okay, this is wonderful. It's blue. Like, they're going to be better. And then you're looking like, okay, they're at the very lowest end of blue. I've got like a 72-year-old keeper in here who's not really good at doing much of anything. You're like, is that actually good? And then I was like, do I loan him? What do I do? So, yeah.
I think if the goalkeeper's gloves pop up and you're like, oh, no, the only thing that could make this better is, one, it's sort of above the average for that rarity overall. And then if it's sort of, just say 21, 22 and below an age. So you've got at least a while before if you want to use him, you've got a while before you go, oh, what do I think? Who do I have to bring in next? But if you get an upgrade in the pack straight away, that's a big win. That's why quite a few of us would go for the kickoff packs, because they have a 20% chance of getting an upgrade.
25, I think you.
I think is it 25 20. Now? I thought the Christmas promo was the Christmas promo was 25. I think. I'm pretty sure it's 20%. I could be wrong. People could fact check.
But I think in general, upgrades usually means a good pack. But then still, you can have, let's say, 2 super low rares, 75, very old, maybe positions like CB and GK that are, So it's it's very subjective. Also, maybe you need those guys. Maybe. Before I was opening rare guys, and I needed a better rare players, like a rare goalie actually. So it depends. Yeah. But right.
Calvin, that's exactly what I got. I got a 75 CB and a 76 GK, and I was like, ooh, okay,
yeah,
like so this is awesome. And I was like, wait, if I want to win, are these guys good enough to win? Like, and so they're both out on loan now, of course. So
yeah, but like you would happily swap both for like an 82 rated striker, I guess, right? So that's.
I'd lose my mind as long as the striker is 6 feet or less, or 6 feet or more. Sorry, like it's true. Because we'll talk
exactly.
about
height also matters. So
we'll talk about the meta.
It's like it matters more than it actually matters. Put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's also subjective, but it feels like it. But anyway, we're already talking a little bit about our. Personal journeys, so let's talk about moment of the week. Jimmo, do you have any moment of the week?
Moment of the week, probably today. Both my teams made it out of the group stages, or
already
certified.
That's nice.
Yeah, with 1 game left, which is really, really great because it means I can rotate for that final game. However, I think, how I said last episode, I'm going for the lean approach to my squads this season, which I am. I can't tell I'm struggling with it because I'm still keeping up with the fatigue and the fitness of my players. But Bob, historically, I've always gone for straight 11-man swaps in for my rotation. And especially when you make it out of the cup, that strategy becomes super, super effective, because when you've made out the group stage with games left, you've got basically just a free game for fitness. Whereas when you've got a slightly leaner squad, you've got to be a bit more strategic with the player that you drop. And I feel like you can't get that fitness back to the level you wanted to. And I was glad we got out the cup because I need that MFL. Because my teams look like they're probably going to go, well, especially the Wyverns, maybe come straight back down. Not straight back down. We've been in there for a season, 2 seasons now. Come down into Iron, so that's not looking great. It was a good day. It was a good day on what has been a great day for me, because it's my birthday today. So it's also a great day to make it out of the cup. With a game remaining while celebrating my birthday. So there we go.
Little present.
Yeah, a little present.
But that's great. And speaking about lean squads, you also have people who then stick like a couple of super low commons who only come out, for this match. Right? They only come out for this one time where it doesn't matter at all.
I've got a few like that.
Yeah, you can stick them in there.
One of them's a low common, but he's gone up by 2 overall and he's not been played a single game. So I'm like, hang on, should I at least give him a game to see if that gives them a bit more progression? Is that one of the first clues? Maybe he's got a bit of potential, but that's for later on or another thing. That's my moment of the week.
Yeah. What about you, Bob, OrangeFly? What's your moment?
My moment of the week has been that today my little crappy stone team that I put together. And by put together, I mean I purchased it. It's a Portuguese team. I don't think anybody was like rated higher than like 58 on the team. And I said the only thing I want to do with this team is try to win a little MFL. So I want to try to get out of the cup. And if I can get out of the cup, then, first round of the cup, then it'll be a transfer window and I can make adjustments. And currently, I think that I have already secured my spot in the knockout stages. So I've got like shock wins against some of the worst teams on the entire platform. Like I'm in like one of the lowest level of like the aspirants cup, and I think there's like 40, and I'm guessing that the higher your number is in your thing, like the worse the teams are, and I'm at like 36. So like really, really bad team. But I got out of it. And so, we're going into the transfer window. I have an idea of like what I want to do to build it up a little bit, because the bottom part of my actual table in stone is really weak too. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm decent with tactics because of some of my friends and of the podcasts that I've listened to. So my moment is getting out of the cup and hopefully making some good purchases or good transfer deals, and then maybe keeping it alive in stone. So we'll see.
Nice. So cup success for me. Cup success for you, OrangeFly. Calver, are you going to make it a triple or not?
Well, there is a little bit of cup success in some of my
teams. Okay, we've got some
not. I don't think I qualified already with any of my teams, so that's not so good. In general, I must say I had a very, very, very bad start with my gold team, Casablanca Corsairs. After 7 games, I had lost 6, 1 draw, and 2 goals. So it was like absolutely atrocious. And Jimbo, we always talk about consistency, like, give it a bit of time, like don't try to change things around. But then I was like, okay, this obviously doesn't work. I don't know
has to change.
Yeah, this definitely had to go. And then I did some thinking, like I play 5-2-3, like what can be the problem here? I didn't even do testing. I was just thinking like what could be the problem? And I felt like you have those 2 guys in midfield, and if somehow they're not supported at all, I guess to get overrun. That was just my thinking.
Yeah.
So I played around with individual player instructions, a bit like who could come in there and help them change the position freedom of some guys. And the changes I did do, like apparently they worked, because then I won the 2 games after that in gold. Scored already 2 goals in like I doubled my amount of goals in the game after that. Didn't also in the cup 2 draws, so no losses. So at least it seems with some tactical changes, I fixed the team a little bit. So for me, that's a person. I'm not the biggest on tactics, and I often don't have enough time for let's say testing a lot. But this worked apparently. So
a new Emery masterclass, as they say, you've done for a couple of games.
Yes, apparently. But I can only judge it. Maybe that I also got lucky with those matches. Let's see. But feels like
back
personally,
yourself.
Yeah, it feels like with the wingbacks and the CBs, and then the role of the striker too. Apparently, they do better now. So that's a personal highlight. I feel like, okay, I have a little bit more grip. That's like the worst. If you feel like you don't have any grip on your team at all.
You feel like you got no control.
Yeah, no control.
Sort of, like, I can't. I'm going down the motorway I'm speeding down the motorway anyway, and now my brakes are gone, and I cannot do anything, and I've just got to hope that I can control this car and bring it to a close and stop.
Exactly.
But you don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah. So the
awful analogy, but
for me, it's more talk about ships and shipwrecks as the Corsairs. It feels like we were shipwrecked, and now we got sailing again a little bit. We got it under control. The storm, and now we can keep moving on. So. Let's move on also here to the dev updates, because as always, Jax and Quentin, they have been working very hard on various things, and Lucas too, of course. So the friendly match preferences, they have now been released. It was the main update this week. Gives you great control who can start a friendly against you. Maybe you have some rivals or like managers, and they cannot test with the one team they have in the league, but then they test with the other team against you. So now that is in the past, you can block them, or you can change things around, so you have control over your friendly matches. Then about the engine, Quentin finished improving how players adapt when a teammate receives a red card. So that's good that they kind of fill the gaps then, and you don't lose straight away. He also worked on the shooting system, one-on-one situations. So maybe, Bob, for you, that's important. They're working on it. Maybe they can score soon. And in general, there will be a bit less visual improvements. The main thing is balancing the engine and looking at things that people, I guess, complain about the most, such as the upsets. Also, the red cards. I also personally feel like I get way more red cards than last season. So there seems to be some kind of trend, but they are looking at that. Then player availability. The team always strives to simplify that. Player signing, so there's a couple of changes that it's easier to set. For example, auto accept availability. Now for each division. Previously, if you said like 4%, yeah, for what division, now you can play with that. And the last thing is marketplace offers. Small progress has been made on that, but the team is still working on making offers within the app, which we all would love to see.
Yeah.
Those were the updates. Any reactions from you?
The friendly match preference, first of all, I love that. I love it more so for the guys at the top of the pyramid, like your Ronans, Scrubs, etc., who once they get matched up in the Diamond and the Cups, because they're direct opponents, they have little competition to do friendlies against, who are at a respectable level that they are. So obviously this is on the basis that if Ronan wants to play Scrub also has acceptable matches on, which if they wanted to run some friendlies against each other, they could coordinate that and do that, which is great. A bit about the engine, Yax did say in the stream, actually, that this was going to be their sort of preference for this season, about less visual improvements, because I think we commented then on the yellow cards, or when the cards are given, how the player like stalls for a second, so you sort of know the card or the red card's coming to an extent. And he was like, yeah, we want more of the behind the scenes changes rather than the front facing, I guess, the UI of the engine. I love the player availability improvement they've done, but I really, really would like them to at least or at some point put in a clause, or you set your player availability for minimum matches, because that's such a key part for me with some of my players. I don't really care about, I could put a minimum rev share and people will meet that, but I really, really want them to be able to, or even want to be able to say, I only want to have offers with a minimum of 15 games, because so many offers I just go, I will not even look at it because I want minimum 15 games. And if you could specify that up front, it just filters all the rubbish that you're going to get coming to your inbox, essentially. So I think that would be a really great move if they can eventually ever do that.
No, I really miss that too. And so far I've been just communicating. There's often like 5 to 10 guys who message me, can I get some players? And say, sure, make those kind of offers. And I communicate it myself. But now, if you can set that in your agency, you can set a whole batch of players. Yeah, 1+5. I usually do 1+5 minimum stone. And they can auto accept that. That would be lovely. Yeah. So hopefully they keep developing this. Bob, any reactions to those things you just heard?
I mean, I want to see how the engine actually changes for those one-on-one opportunities for goal. It seems like goalkeepers are really overpowered right now in those kind of areas. And now, granted, I'm playing in Iron, and it's different levels. I'm not playing up as high as you guys are. And so I'm just seeing my strikers, like my 92 type shooting strikers, just simply enable just to score, like with their feet. Like they have to head the ball in no matter what they do. And it just gets really annoying. But then I see someone at like a 90-degree angle, like right on the touchline, just blasting it past the keeper. Like, well, that's completely realistic, So and that makes me change my tactics in a way that I don't really want to do it, but I want to win because losing is not acceptable to me. So like there's that. And then I'm curious if you guys, in the matches that you've had since then, the update went in, I want to say on like Friday morning or something like that, when the developer update came in, I would guess. Have you guys had a game or seen a game where a red card was given and you actually could see the overlap and how the adjustments were made?
I'm not sure. Is it implemented? That's the first question, Chip. But do you know if it's already? Because sometimes they don't change it throughout the season.
Yeah, I don't think this will be. If it says Quinton's finished improving how players adapt after red cards, this won't be kicked in. I don't think until the pre-season, until the season's finished. They are very reluctant to make major changes because of how people can set up their strategies and things prior to it. I actually want to talk about red cards anyway, so it's quite a nice transition actually. I actually had my first red card today, and
Only
and
your
I've seen
first?
my first red card of the season today.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a
I had so
second
many
yellow from
already.
a penalty, which I think I drew the game from. And I've only now just hit the 5 yellow cards for one player as well, which is quite nice because now it's in a cup game for my Wyverns who don't care about the cup for that game because I'm already through, so it's quite nice. And I was wondering, because I've seen quite a few people, you said, Cal, about yourself, had a few red cards. I don't know about yourself, Bob, if you've seen like, maybe more red cards than you think, but I know Eric's been quite vocal typing. What's the opposite of vocal, but in Discord? I guess you call it vocal typing.
I would say still vocal. Yeah.
He still say vocal, but it's not really using your vocals at all, is it? So what do you call it? Like typing about how he's had loads of red cards.
Active.
And I guess, but active about his red cards. And I maybe wonder if, they see on their side that red cards look relatively in line, but is there maybe some games where there's more red cards than there should be and some that have far less red cards? So when they bounce each other out, it looks relatively normal on their side. I don't know if there's anything along those lines where the extremes maybe happen more frequently than they should. Therefore, the average looks fine. Maybe is that why some managers find they're getting more than the others?
If I look my season 2 and now my season 3, I have way more red cards. So personally, that can also be maybe tactics or weird instructions, but
I get about one or two a season, and then some people get like 50,000. I just find that so odd. I guess they have more.
Maybe it's
they have more players to get red cards from, so the probability is high.
Maybe it's like pressing, because also I never play aggressive, but I do play with more pressing. So maybe it's like if you press more, you have more. I don't know, but for me, I did notice a little uptick. I don't have the exact data, but definitely. It feels more than before.
So being a new person, like I've seen one red card in my matches, and the team that I picked up recently in Stone, which is really bad, like guy already had like 4 red cards or 4 yellow cards. So like he finally got his 5th. And so, I mean, I think that on my main Iron team, I just put in a CDM and he's a bit more aggressive naturally. So he gets more cards. So he's got 4 yellows, but he's the only person on my team that's even remotely close to being in a threat to be suspended. And he only is used in my cup games anyway. Like I just don't use him in my regular lineups. So I haven't actually seen a lot, and I think that you're probably right, Kelva. There's a lot that goes into tactics. I never play anybody aggressive. I do press, but I usually only press with my top guys. I don't press with my entire team. I'm not doing anything like that. I'm trying to play. I started off playing more controlled, but I'm a lot more balanced. I don't really play direct either. So like, there's a lot of things that go into it. And I'm seeing, from looking at how teams are set up, and watching like what their center backs do. It's kind of like their center backs are like that guy that can only run in a straight line, and he will just crash into whatever, and he can't actually stop either. He just has to run into somebody. And it looks like that a lot in what we're kind of seeing. And so it's just, I think it's a lot of tactics. I haven't experienced it much. Like my guys don't get a ton of yellows, and I've also built depth to kind of like deal with it too. But one thing that I think is weird that I would love, and I know we're going to talk about stuff like this later, but in regular football, if you go a certain number of matches without getting another card, like don't you get like one pulled off, like you get like a yellow rescinded, or like you don't, it doesn't keep adding up? Does that work? Or like what am I thinking? Because I feel like
you're thinking
is
of
that MLS?
There's instances where
or like the international.
If you accumulate like 5 yellow cards in 10 games, you get a 1 game ban. But once you go past that 10 game threshold, it then wipes and it restarts again.
Yes.
But if you then hit it again, you get a 2 game. Like one of Norwich's centre backs now, Callum Doyle's got his 10th yellow card of the season. Now he has to do a 2 game ban because he's hit both the 5 and the 10. So there's things like that, which I don't think will ever come into MFL because it just adds another complexity. And the seasons are so short in terms of the amount of games being played compared to 38 in domestic rather than 24 in this.
No, and in some major international tournaments, it's like after the quarterfinal, or group stage, they reset or something.
Wipe it,
they wipe it.
Because they don't want your stud to get enough yellows to like miss like the finals or something like that.
But the MFL is just keep accumulating, and only at the end of the season they will get wiped.
So what we're saying is, for my guys, if they're on 4 yellows and I'm playing a worse team, I just like put them on pure aggression and just get all of the yellows as quick as I can, so I can miss for the next match, and then just
You could play
go
with
back
that,
to smoking.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a strategy.
It's a strategy. You can definitely.
not a good strategy, but a strategy nonetheless.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking about seasons and how things are going, we have to talk about the Diamond League and our Diamond update. And it's a very interesting table, I think. One good thing, Jimbo, I think did we break our jinx curse or...
What, of Ronan? Is it Ronan?
Yeah, because last week I said like meta looks very good and they just keep going. So I feel like we're not jinxing.
Lost their first game and they've won the following nine. That seems pretty good to me.
They have an amazing start, 27 points, out of 10 matches. Already a 6-point gap to Vissel London, 21 points, and then another 5 points to Biscione Milano, the team that won Diamond League last season. So Ronin already has an 11-point gap on the third place.
And Ronan's also 5-5 in the cup as well.
Yeah, so yes, he really got to figure out. He challenged all that energy from last season, the frustration, into building an amazing team for this season. So he's doing really well. As I said, Vissel London also, he's like the only one who can kind of keep up, 21 points. And then there's a massive group, I would say, place 3 to...
Best of the rest, yeah.
Yeah, to like 9 or maybe even Dio at 10th or maybe even BFC Manchester. The 7 points between number 3, the 3rd and 11th. So Biscione, Ohm Legend, Jogo Bonito, Socios, Naples, Goldfeathers, BFC Barcelona. And then I would say surprisingly Atletico Tango, Big Wilbert, 9 spots. Also Dio has a very rough diamond, first half of diamond. Not very... Diamond has not been very nice to the DFC Amsterdam Lions, so 10 points out of 10 games. Then BFC Manchester and of course TTP. Training Grounds, Trust the Process, dead last.
We did put a prediction on the stream when they played. I can't remember who they're playing now. And we did say, will they have a shot on target? Will they have a shot at the whole game? And they didn't. I think I've not checked. I checked today. They didn't have a shot in the whole game, and I've not seen since Thursday. I've not checked since then. But up until Thursday, Yaxa said they'd had 2 shots of the whole season so far. So I wonder if they'll get there.
86 goals. No, they scored 0 goals and 86 against, so an average of 8.6 per match. Pretty rough. And BFC, they're the only team who still has to play them, so they get their 3 points. So there should be a ranking right without them, or so they get their 3 points. So that abolishes BFC Barcelona also has a pretty good start. But yeah, Jimbo, what's your reaction to this table? Any overperforming, underperforming?
I think
teams?
BFC Barcelona and probably Atletico Tango underperforming. I saw that BFC Barcelona have qualified for the out of the Titans Cup. They went 5-5 as well, which I thought was. And I think I saw in the B sellers in the DAO chat was saying that he rotates for the cup. So for him to go 5-5 with rotations is great because you regain that fatigue, that fitness of your starting players, but you're also getting the MFL. I think potentially 3 of the BFC clubs have made out of Titans group stage, which is huge as well. The one that I'm interested to see how it pans out is Vissel London. Out of Carne's agency and the 3 teams he has within the Titans Cup, there's only one which hasn't made it, or there's only one that has already been eliminated from the group stage, and that's the Diamond Club. The Diamond Club isn't going to make it out of the group stage. So how will that impact, their performances and throughout the rest of the season? Will they have enough legs to catch Ronan's Meta Mercenaries? Because you could argue you could use the extra cup games, albeit could be 1, it could be an extra 3 or 4 if you get to the final, to try and regain some fitness back. But I think that best of the rest table will change vastly between now and next week.
Yeah,
it's so close in there once you come out of second and first. So it's going to be a bit of because of the 3 wins everyone gets, it causes a bit of carnage. And now we've got we've got certified relegation. The top 2 are pulling away. the middle is just chaos, but in a great way because it
Yeah,
changes
it can
every
really
game day.
go anywhere, and we can really see a couple of big teams relegating straight, to plat. Like now it's Tango there, but easily it could be another team, that gets relegated. So it'll be super super interesting. Bob, are you checking these kind of things? Are you checking Diamond League sometimes for fun, like what the big boys are doing, or not really?
I just did, and I was looking at TTPs, and I was like, oh wow. So in the background here, I just took my really crappy stone team that has no business being in stone, and I'm playing a friendly against TTP's diamond team because I want to be able to try to beat a diamond team with my really crappy team.
Big
like
flex,
they are.
big flex.
I was thinking to myself, like, how do you not have any? Like, you must like really just have low players, and yeah, it's essentially just a pure training ground for them, and it's all low players, and it's kind of fantastic, and I want to see if my horrible team can beat his training ground team. So this will be the, like, we'll have to go back and like re-edit the highlight for the day if I can actually beat a diamond team with my really crappy team, So no, I don't track it much. I'm trying to get a better feel for who top teams are, right, and what they're doing, how they run it, because at the top it's a completely different game. They have wing backs and they're playing that like 5-4-1 flat and all that kind of stuff, which I'm certainly not built for.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know the story behind TTP. They are just there they are there, like, Trust bought this license just to get the revenue, the MFL from it. Even the 12 spot gives him 150k, and then he relegates down to plat and gets another, like, I don't know, 90k. So in the end, all of this MFL is gonna pay for the license.
Pay itself back.
Yeah, pay itself back. Plus, he can, with those pools, he probably can get a couple of nice, even more money out of it. But yeah, it feels a bit weird to have such a bad team, and I'm curious if you can beat them. It's a nice flex. You beat a diamond team. So let's see how that goes. But yeah, it really, as Jimbo said, like it kind of messes with our normal way of having leagues, and there's like a certain minimum of points that you need to reach, and that's all out of the window right now. So it's going to be super interesting.
Well, I get it. I get it though, right? Like, it's like at some points, and I think this is something that I struggle with in all of these type of games, is there's a difference between playing it for fun and competing and trying to get something out of it, trying to earn from the game itself. And so this is a very interesting kind of look at what the actual value is and what the worth is and that kind of stuff. So I'm curious to see how this all plays out, and how long it takes it to play out, because I mean, one of my goals is to be able to buy better cards like everybody else. I want to progress.
Yeah, of course. It will be interesting to track this team and what he spends it on. You could make a good video, like Nep was talking about it, right? About last week. Like, you can say, I bought a diamond club, and I don't know, this is what I ended up with.
Hypothetically, if he was to just buy like uncommon packs with the rewards and just say flip them for $30 on floaty if that demand is still there. In the first season, he makes $540 out of his $799 he bought it for in one season. And now, I know the rewards get lower as he comes down the pyramid, but it seems like if he's planned it all out, it's smart.
It seems solid.
It's savvy. It's smart. It's thinking. It's outside the box thinking when it comes to how you can earn MFL within the game.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, quick update. My team, my crappy stone team, is up 1-0 at halftime.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's go.
You can do it. Okay. Keep watching, and then I'll give a shout out to many new users, because there have been so many again, which is great to see. Such as Mr. Osborne, Why Always Me, Mousy, H8 with the 2CJV, a very complicated name, Cole, Evotion, Groeneveld Magic, Bosanko, Griff, Kelly, Japes, Jesper, Bulyakin, 023 Anthony, Bulldozer 785, Weathers, Jimothy, Haydox, Dils Hears, Sir Purvis, and Jack in USA 11. So many new managers. And my new user of the week is a user called Penguins in Paradise, just because of the name. And I hope he creates a lot of like penguin themed clubs. I don't know, Antarctica FC, or I don't know, just tons of penguin clubs.
Club Penguin FC.
Yeah, there's so many lions. We need other animals in MFL. So I hope the penguins will start to become a thing. Other stories about common, uncommon players. I saw the Snake, a relatively new German user. He bought a ton of commons and uncommons and rares this week. Really, his name was all over the sales bot. Rare players, I thought there was a pretty interesting transfer. Okay, yeah, sure, bought a 84 rated center back for 190 USD, 27-year-old. There's really a bit of, I would say, panic selling going on of relatively old players, and people are trying to get rid of them before they get too old. So that's one tactic. And Dio, by the way, also reached out to me about last week. We talked about his 500 USD he spent on an 82 rated striker. Dio told me it's part of his tactic to really scout for those potential, the players who already progressed quite a bit. And he told me that this striker already progressed by one, so it's paying off. Legendary players, apart from the Splash, no one. And club, finally, some good news. Jamie bought a Keto license. He's part of the club now, of the Keto, 79 USD. So that's fun that there's another Keto club, and it belongs to someone who really supports the project and a big MFL name. So that's great. Yeah. Now it's like a supports the Keto project, let's say, right? Like
there's always a lot of positivity in the chat when a Keto license
the Keto club
bought.
gets exactly.
I think Bosco was like, "There's a Keto license for sale. Who would dare do such a thing and list a club in that location?" And Jamie's like, "Whoa, well, I'll join the gang. Let me in. And then they all pile. I think Taggart, Ronan, Bosco, they all own Keto clubs, so it's a little bit of an unofficial club.
A bit of a meme, yes. Yeah. But it's now Jamie is part of the club, the Keto club. Yeah. That's great. So over to you.
I was going to say, Bob, did you want to chime with anything there? You look like you want to.
Yeah, you were jumping.
Yeah, I mean, Kelvin was mentioning how people are kind of like panic selling older cards, right? And so I just, from your perspective, like, why are we panic selling older cards, like older players that are 26, 27 years old? Because what I'm watching on like the teams that are winning, they have older people that are absolutely smashing the face off of people. Like, and so I know there's a balance and all that kind of stuff, but like my whole thing in life is you play to win the game. Like you are going to finish first, and finishing second is not acceptable. Like losing is not an option. And I'm looking at old legendaries right now, like, I can get him relatively cheap. I can get a massive upgrade in my weakest spot right now. I mean, I almost like snap bought a legendary yesterday for an iron team of all things, because the way I look at it is, you know what, if he has 4 more years of playing, I can go from iron to gold, like in that course of time, because, you know, I run, you know, friendlies against both of you and your gold teams and your bronze teams, and like I'm very comfortably winning a lot of matches like that. So for you guys, why is there so much panic to sell these guys? Because I'm willing to take them and win.
Well, I think I'll let Jimbo also share his opinion, but I think it's people mostly see they care more about player values than winning MFL and use them as assets that generate MFL and win you competition and leagues. So in their mind it's like, oh no, every year he's going to decrease in value, and in the end they end up with 0 money. So maybe I can still get a little bit money for him. I buy a player that's a bit worse, and maybe with progression I can get him up to the same level and then repeat. Kind of keep selling the older guys, buy back a bit worse guys for less. Progression makes them also better, and then I think that's what people are trying to do. But you're right. Like from an MFL winning point of view, as an asset that wins you titles, why not keep them on your team and make them win titles for you, let's say. But what is Jimbo?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's people are fearful of the asset valuation for the future. They just want to, especially if they've packed them as well. They're like, oh no, I need to recoup me money from me pack. Let me sell it, and he's an old boy, and then get rid of it. And they're just fearful of that player's value going down, so they just want to maybe sell it to buy a pack or to gamble on getting a better player in a pack. Or I don't think people have still shifted their expectations, their insert similar word, on how like sort of longevity impacts players, or when it really kicks in. You know, the average age of retirement's 34 to 36. We are what we at now? We're at coming up to 31, being the oldest player at the end of this season. We're still 4 or 5 seasons away from that average retirement. So a player who's 28, 29, you could be looking at 9 seasons there. The earliest on average, unless you're unlucky, and that's the thing. You could be, 4 or 5 seasons. But I think people are just a bit risk on when it comes to those older players, and want to shift when they can.
Yeah, this is a my mentality kind of thing, which makes me struggle with this sort of stuff, because I said before, like, my whole purpose is winning. Because in my world, you don't make money without spending money. So, like, my thought is, okay, you've got these great guys. Like, if you are looking to quickly recoup on things, right? Like, you are basically, if I'm going to quickly recoup on an older guy and I'm sitting in iron, but this guy is good enough, and like the 3 other guys that are older that are good enough to get me to bronze, right? Then potentially get me to gold, where I get more MFL. So like all of a sudden I start generating more and more and more. And then those packs you sell to players. Like, this is how my brain works. And it seems like when you sell, surely I get why people do it. You know, from I put this much money in, I want to be rolling for free, essentially. And I get it. I totally get that. But my whole thing is, I'd rather put in money at the start, let that money work for me, earn more, and then have enough MFL to be able to, get those packs that come through the rare, win enough MFL every single season to get a legendary pack after a few months, to get a bunch of rare packs as we go through, and then turn around, if I want to sell those cards, I sell those cards. They can make money that way. And so it's very unique to me, and this is why I think I'm very different than a lot of people. I have more of a whale mentality when it comes to this sort of thing. Like, how are you going to progress to where you are to actually profit from it, if not profiting? And I also ask myself, what does the entertainment value, what is it actually worth to me? Do I need to break even because I had zero fun doing what I'm doing? Like, when I go to a movie at the theater and I'm paying $20 to see a flick, like a movie, like, I'm having fun doing that. I'm willing to pay $20 for it. Like, whereas, like, I'm not getting anything back other than that, like, 2-hour period of entertainment. So
Yeah.
I struggle with, I don't look at these things as assets. They're tools to get me more of what I want and enjoyment.
Yeah. That's, in general, I think the whole market really has to find its feet. And right now, this is the trend. And then maybe people start to have, like, not common farms, but like senior homes, where they put like all the old players
MLS.
to kind of, MLS. Miami senior home. To just get the most out of them, out of their age. So I think this is like natural development as we progress towards mass retirement coming up.
Makes sense.
Yes. Okay, Jimbo, your time to shine.
My time to shine. Splash of the week. This week's Splash of the Week is a legendary player, a Frenchman by the name of Baptiste Barbe. Overall, 92 rated. Was bought by Scrub from Muri the First for $1,500 US tariff dollars. Age 21. Position is centre back, just one solid position of centre back. He's French. He's 92 rated, as I said, and here is the breakdown of his stats. Pace 92, passing 92, dribbling 88 for a centre back, quite nice. Defending 94 and physical 88. And of course, you want to know the shooting as a centre back. His shooting is, I think, quite decent for a centre back of MFL, 46. So, congrats to Scrubs, and I believe congrats to Muri as well for the sale on this Baptiste player from France. I think he had opened many packs from Floaty for secondary marketplace, and maybe broke even. We'll see. I don't know if he has or not, but it's certainly a nice upgrade to see in a pack when 92 pops up. Great age, as we say, great age, great overall. Let's see what this Frenchman turns into in future seasons.
Yeah, really amazing stats. Usually CBs, they have way worse passing, dribbling, and pace, but 92 passing, 92 pace, 88 dribbling. it's like it could be as a CDM, he would also be super amazing. So I think Scrub will really enjoy this guy as a amazing ball-playing defender, all-around defender. So great.
Kelva, if you have that guy on your Magos team from before, like how are you using him? Are you setting him up? Are you putting him in there and you're putting a whole bunch of your best passers to play controlled and out the back and try to like build up that way? Is that how you're using that type of player?
I think, well, before, you also need to have like other guys who can play that game, right? Definitely
Right, of
for
course.
controlling.
Yep.
And with Magos, I was always a lot under pressure, so I'd rather play a bit more direct. But
Mhm.
yeah, with such a guy, like right now with player instructions, with him you can definitely pass out, give him the ball and have more riskier passes out of the back even. And that can create so many openings. If you have a defender who can pass through the lines, find spaces, and instead of just what normal defenders do, right, you just pass the ball to the side and back to the goalie and it goes nowhere. And such a defender in real life, he can do so many things, dribble into the midfield, pass balls through the lines. So I would definitely put him like on a bit of risky passing, high positional freedom. So yeah, I think Scrub really has a nice, amazing player. So very
I
curious to
love
see.
hearing that, Kalpa, because
Yeah.
like when I'm playing at a defender, I know you were talking about tactics before and you haven't spent a lot of time going through it. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yeah.
like mix things up and figure things out. What I've noticed in my testing is that it doesn't really matter how great my passers are at Iron, they're almost always better than other people's. They will still turn the ball over, and whenever there's an error led to goal, what I'm watching, like whenever there's a bad pass by a defender trying to play out of the back, like they almost always score. Like that's where like there's a glitch in the matrix and like the striker actually scores the one-on-one goal is when your defender passes directly to them.
Yeah.
And so like I am so conservative with those guys. I'm like, you know what? We're not going to do we're not going to do risky passing. We're just going to sit here. You have no positional freedom because your programming code is not smart enough to get back on defense when they counter. So I'm just going to like mark you as low positional freedom center backs. Like I don't care how great you are, and you're just going to sit here and you're just going to play the ball out the back and get it out to my guys who can actually make the passes.
Yeah, well, I must say, what I just answered you more from like a general football.
Yeah,
I have not tested out really with like such a risky passing, but
Yeah.
what I did do before and also doing right now is a bit more asymmetric. Like you have one defender who's a bit more staying conservative and one a bit more freedom. And also with strikers and with CDMs, that there's like this one a bit more conservative holding midfielder, one a bit more box-to-box midfielder. And you try to mix those roles around. So
But before we move on, the one final thing I'd like to just had a look at this player. He's the joint top, has a joint highest passing stat for a primary position centre back. There's a player by the name of Gurgly Bardos, definitely butchered that Hungarian name, who coincidentally also plays for Bashoni Milano, so will also be partnering the two highest passing centre backs. But obviously he cannot play with him until the mid-season transfer window. Scrub bought an Iron Club specifically to sign this player too, so he gets training XP until the mid-season transfer window. So Scrub's not hanging around with getting this lad XP or missing out on XP.
But he cannot put him on or he needs to be released, or
because his transfer window shut. He cannot play him, right? So he had to buy a new club, which was not in a competition.
But the transfer window is going to open. No.
Yeah, but I'm just saying for the time. He's had him. He's had him for 4 days already, so he can earn training XP.
Okay.
Right? He
gave
wants
him
to
an
earn
Iron
training
Club.
XP.
Okay.
So I was
Now
looking
I
at
get
it,
you.
going, "Who's
I
he
get
signed to?
you.
Is it signed to an ice club?" And it's an ice club with only one player, so you can earn training XP. So in 3 days' time, when the transfer window opens,
Interesting.
Scrub's back 2 centre back pairings. I don't know if he plays back 4. Will be passing mania. 92 passing on the pair of them. 20 and 21 ages respectively as well. So great
Gio,
age.
for the future, he's totally set. Bashoni Milano.
Yeah.
See,
Then,
now that's a match, Calvin, that I will watch. Like that is someone that I will follow and watch because I want to see how that plays out. I've not watched one of those type of matches yet. And quick update: my really crappy Stone team won 2-0. So I'm really pumped that I was able to beat a Diamond team. So
poor TTP, they lose everything.
Update my new highlight of the week. So yeah.
Great, lovely. Speaking about highlights, IRL, MFL, any IRL highlights, things you want to touch on?
three really quick ones. We had the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park, which ended in 2-2 draw. Very entertaining game for those who have not watched. Tottenham beat Man U today 1-0 at home in the Premier League, which the last time Tottenham won a home game in the league was 105 days ago. Which for a side of Tottenham's calibre and club size to not win a game since I think it was the 3rd or 5th of November is pretty fucking awful. And I'll mention this one because I know Taggart knows this already. He's a big fan of squirrels. But during the weekend, Norwich's equaliser against Hull City, it was the full-back with an overlap, and the cross came in to Sargent, the American who headed it in. But who was running down the sideline next to Kellen Fish in the right back? None other than a grey squirrel. Darting down the wing, putting off the full-back before our full-back crosses it in. Bang! It was Taggart's wet dream. An American striker scoring in the championship for the weekend and a squirrel on the pitch. It was phenomenal stuff. There we
I
go.
have that clip saved, Jimbo. Like I was so happy. I was laughing. I kept watching it over and over and over.
If you want to watch
again.
something really funny and also cringe as well, Radio Norfolk after the game did an interview with the squirrel, and one of the guys just there going. It's so funny.
Love it.
I'll see if I can find a clip of it, but it's horrendous, but it's so funny.
Nice meme. Nice meme.
Fantastic.
Yes. Well, I have no news about squirrels. I always tend to talk a little bit about Dutch League. And now, and I know there's a lot of Sorare players who have like PSV stacks, but PSV keeps doing absolutely terrible.
Stinky stuff.
But Ajax is now back on top, and since it's been a long time, like they really had a tough period. But they have a new Italian coach, very young guy, Farioli, who has very like his own ways of doing things, and it starts paying off right now. So they are back on top. So with some proper, tactics, principles, vision. Really paving, let's say, doing your own way, you can really, create a great site. So some motivation for you out there for your MFL teams. Like make a plan, grand plan, stick to it, and with like largely a similar group of players as before. He's doing much better. So that's great.
That Ajax team, I was watching the match a little bit earlier, and they have such a strong defensive core. That even with Biscaglia out, and I mean they're bringing in Jans, or my pronunciations are going to be terrible, Calvin.
Join the gang.
Jarrell Hato, like with 2 assists today, pushing up left wing, those are the type of guys you love. I mean, even like Yuri Boss is out, like just the team just keeps reloading, as you go through there. It's just
sell to Man U for 80 million in the summer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been fun to watch. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, this Farioli, he keeps rotating also like crazy. Like some people in MFL rotate a lot, but he is IRL rotating so much. And first he got like punished for it, and sometimes he lost, and people like, oh, it's because you rotate. And now he does the same, and he keeps winning. So and they really have a lot of talents coming through the ranks. There was a 16-year-old making his debut in the UEFA League, Europe League, scored a volley. So they're on fire. Yeah. Then the beer top 3. I don't know if you're a big beer drinker, but you are.
I'm not. But quick question before we talk about beer. Like, what were you guys doing at age 16? I'm guessing it wasn't scoring a goal in Europe, right? Like,
well, technically, I was on a Sunday league. I was on a Sunday. I still scored in Europe, but I wasn't at that level.
I mean, I'm just trying to figure out where the next party in high school was going to be, or. It's just I had no idea what I was doing. I was
probably at home playing Counter-Strike or something like that.
Yeah, you're not good at anything.
Yeah, that's really amazing. 16.
So, as far as beer goes, no, Calva, I have not had beer in a very, very long time. Very, very long time.
Very long time.
Okay. Yeah, so in my fun uni days, though, I mean, it's very simple stuff because we were cheap kids, right? And so I'm from upstate New York. And so the Keystone State is Pennsylvania, just south of us. And they had this absolutely dog water, piss-tasting beer called Keystone Light. And you could get 30 of them for less than 10 American dollars. And so we would get those, and we'd drink them as fast as humanly possible. And we would go out to the party and make really bad life decisions. So not a good beer, not what I enjoyed, but, as I got older, I mean, we would do simple things, Blue Moon with an orange slice. I don't even know if Blue Moon's a thing anymore. But one of my favorite breweries, and for anybody that's in the United States, in Chicago near Wrigley Field, big baseball, there's a brewery called Goose Island. And Goose Island has some amazing IPAs and different beers. So just a wonderful place to check out. A place that I also got too drunk in, I was thrown out of. So, there's that.
Nice.
Good. So we have Goose Island IPA, let's say.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Okay.
Very, very good. So,
but now you have to put it somewhere in our top 3. So I'll listen carefully. What is the top 3?
Please
on the 3rd place, it's Palmer's German beer, Erdinger. Then Taggart put another American beer on the 2nd place, Brewer's Banquet Original. And first is Nepenthes. He replaced the amazing, beautiful Belgian monastery beer that Dio put in there with a beer with amaretto in it as the first one. So who do you want to kick out of there? Which one?
I mean, the Goose Island IPA is not number 1 on this list, but it's definitely better than what Nepenthes put up there. So
yeah, an actual. We should replace it. I feel like an actual beer. So
yeah, like if you want to slide like the Goose Island into 3 and just above Nepenthes at 4, that we're good with that. So that would probably make the most sense. But I mean, it's a great beer.
Okay, now we just
in
put,
the States. So
I think a lot of people will be happy that you put.
We'll just stick it first. We'll stick it first.
Yeah. So Goose Island IPA,
Yep.
OrangeFly. I put it right now on number 1. So we still have Brewer's Banquet Original Taggart, quite a long time. It's like the oldest one in there, and then Erdinger Palmer on the 3rd place. Okay, we have been already talking for almost an hour, but we also heard a lot of your stories already, and now it's time for the proper manager spotlight. And our first question always is, what is your MFL story? So how did you find out about the project? Why did you join? You already talked a little bit about it in the intro, but... What's your story?
My story is that I started during the COVID times, there was nothing better to do with my life. And so we started getting into NFTs and games. And I've always been a big gamer and stuff like that. So Rare sort of showed up and reinvigorated my love for football. And through that, I met a lot of guys, like the guys on the Ramble podcast and a number of other people that are currently involved in MFL. And, I'd see the links, I'd see the updates. Mick Wright and I have been chatting for the last 3+ years about Celtic and everything So Rare. And so I thought, let's see what this is. And my buddy Andy sent me a referral link. He's like, just click it, see what happens. I clicked it, I saw what happened, and I had a lot of fun with it. It was completely different than anything I'd experienced before. Just the idea of this was really cool. And I have never played FM. I've never played a football manager type game. I didn't know a lot about tactics because you don't have to know about that stuff. It's So Rare. You just need the guys that score the goals and do the things that, Opta decides that they're doing, even though Opta is completely random. So, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can watch what my guys are doing. I can actually see where we can make adjustments. And I thought it was just awesome. So that's how I got in. And, I bought my first club license. I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. And we kept pushing and pushing. I was like, you know what? How do I win? What do I need to do?
Good
so
question.
I reached out to David, SR Monkey, and Kev Hurd, who was just on the Ramble podcast talking about tactics.
Yep.
And a lot of those guys in the Discord. And they helped kind of show me the ropes of what's to do. And, I made a lot of really bad purchases, as we all do. As it turns out, height is really important in football, especially if you're a goalkeeper or you're a center back or a striker. And you probably shouldn't buy the king of the Oompa Loompas, a 5'3" center back that's an 82, 83 rated player. It just doesn't work. They're really great at ground duels, but they're not stopping any big strikers coming through that are a foot taller than them.
Yeah.
So, it's
Great.
stuff like that. So that's how I got into it. And I've only been playing for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, it was like 2-3
absolutely
weeks. I
loving
was,
it.
about,
Yeah,
I was about to
I
say
mean,
that. Yeah, yeah.
you guys shouted me out, and I was like, someone bought a legendary, and I was like, oh man, that's me. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
user of
see
the
what
week.
this is.
Because
Yeah,
listened to you in the Ramble Pod, and I loved, and that must have been, well, you say a week and a half now into your MFL career, we'll call it. That must have
hmm
been less than a week, and I love the passion you had for the game just off the bat, like off the rip, and you were so enthusiastic about wanting to learn, and I was like, this guy. He's gonna love it, and that's what we were like. We want to get him on the podcast as well because you want to ask us questions and learn more knowledge. But you're someone who seems a bit like the Panthers last week, really enthusiastic about wanting to win. Your question was, how do I win? You are constantly asking yourself that question, and you want to.
yeah.
That's all you want to achieve is 3 points, trophies, promotion, the glory.
I mean, that's me in a nutshell, Jimbo. Like that's like my whole life ethic. It's like you play hard, you go hard. Like there's no half-assing it. Like there's no point in just doing something just to do it. If you're going to do it, be the best.
Yeah.
And so it's worked in life. I married the prettiest woman that I've ever met in my entire life. And I've gotten great jobs. I've been able to move up, be able to sit at home on a weekday and do a Ramble podcast and get paid for it because my job is giving me a little time to do this kind of random stuff. So it's just kind of like what I do. And I like diving in head deep because I know that if you don't dive in all the way, you're like, oh, I'm just going to see what this is. Like you're not committed to it. And you have to, if you want to be successful at something, you have to commit. There has to be that drive. And I don't see it enough in people. And I hear a lot of people upset about how things are going or in anything. I'm like, well, have you tried harder? The answer's like, well, no, because of this and this and this. And like, I'm just like, no, like if you want something to be good for you, work hard. Like that's what it's all about. Like you have the opportunity. Don't expect me to give you the outcome you want, but work hard, push hard, and you can get yourself there. Worst case, if you don't, you learn something. So
I might have to clip that as my morning alarm. The motivation there. Sounds like what you just said there. You have a track record of winning. And an MFL is not going to be the first time you're going to go, do you know what? I couldn't win here. The track record says you're going to win, and you want to do all you can to win. Easy as.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So one of our questions was about your, let's say, long-term goals and strategies. So obviously, to be able to win, you need to have some kind of plan. So after 2-3 weeks, what would be your more like longer-term plan going forward?
Longer term plan is to accumulate MFL so I can get those reward packs. And the higher the pack, the better. And my goal has been to potentially save up to buy a legendary pack because that to me seems like decent ROI, right? And you can honestly probably be like the uncommon packs are a better ROI if you turn around and sell right away. But what I said a couple minutes ago is I want to get as high as I can and keep winning so I can start churning. Like I would like to be able to work my way up to diamond, which with my attitude, my ability to spend where I need to, I think I can do that, right? And then I can just keep churning and churning and churning. And so for next year, like my goal is win bronze, or win the Iron League and get into bronze. Like that's what my goal is. I suffered my first defeat yesterday or the day before, and man, I am not happy with it in any way, shape, or form. And so I'm just like, okay, my backup left back got beaten a couple times. This is completely unacceptable. So now I'm trying to like buy a legendary left back that's 29 years old, because I am displeased with the result, right? So that's kind of how I look at these things, and I say, okay, so what's next? So let's say I win and I get promoted to bronze next year. I have these extra players. I'm going to be buying the packs, when they get released. I'm trying to work on deals to get, an 84 striker in, to get an upgraded left back. I'm trying to work on deals like that. So next year, it would probably behoove me to continue to upgrade with packs and all the other stuff that I have, and then potentially buy a license for another Iron team, and then the guys that I don't think are good enough, that are still below 80 rated in my team that would get promoted, go back and rerun it in iron and win again and keep pushing up and promoting up and keep fighting and going through all that kind of stuff. So like that's kind of how I'm looking at this, because if I can churn guys to get a great team, then I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah, I think what how do I word this? I can't even think of the sentence starter here. Your intent's been clear from the off, and I think the biggest giveaway of that is not from what you just said, is just looking at your two clubs. You've gone straight for iron and straight for stone, where as a new user, 95% Calva, 90% go for ice, and then start from there. But you've gone, actually, let's just skip the first two divisions because I know I'm gonna commit some money and buy some high rated players. Why not pay the extra $20 for a license 2 divisions up and go from there? Which I think has been a question that's been in the chat a few times, where people have said, why don't you just buy a license for like $15 more, which is 2 divisions up, and start from there? And you've got some really strong players in your agency as well. Not Gallery, I always get those two mixed up. Gallery is MFL agency. Gallery's so rare. MFL is agency.
Yeah.
So just with even getting an iron and stone clubs from the rip shows the intent from the off there.
There's a lot of both relegation fear and promotion fear in the community. So you obviously don't have both. So yeah, some people are like, oh no, if I start an iron, I might get relegated and I lose value on that license. Or some people have this promotion, like, okay, with reward-wise, maybe 3rd place iron is better than 9th place bronze, right? But yeah, I like the ambition, just boom, straight bronze promote, and then we keep building, keep going.
Well,
to diamonds.
I mean,
that's great. Yeah.
And I think that's, I heard you talking on the last couple podcasts about like stacking into ice and stuff like that, and how that's not fun. Like, can you imagine my iron team that, like, when I run scrimmages against you and your gold team, Kelv, I'm winning, right? Like, I'm beating gold and silver teams pretty consistently with my team. So, like, what good is it running that team in ice? Like, that's... Like, why? Like, I'm not even setting... I could probably run those guys down to, like, 45% energy and still win at that level. Like, that's not exciting, and they're not getting anything from that. So, I think it does make a difference. And I think that it is more intense. I'm actually... There's, like, this, like, happy anxiety every time a match starts. And, like, I started, and, like, my cup... with the cup run, like, everyone's saying on the Ramble, they're like, the better team you have, the harder opponents you're going to get. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. But, like, I'm in with silver and high bronze teams with Big Wilbur and, like, some really great teams. And I am fighting, and I say this, like, Big Wilbert's ahead on the table, and I'm 1 point ahead of the guy behind me, and we're playing each other in a, like, basically, I win or draw, I go through, he wins, he goes through. Sort of scenario. But the way I look at it is, I want this competition. I want these guys there. I want to keep winning because I think I can. And the crazy thing is, Big Wilbert had to come from 0-2 down against me in the last, like, 10 minutes of the match to tie. And the guy that I'm playing next had to come back as well. So I've actually been, in my eyes, because I'm very biased, obviously my teams are the best. I've been the best team in the grouping, but my goalkeeper has let me down, which really bothers me. Right. So, but as for the Stone team was purchased knowing that they were terrible and that they were, like, going to get relegated to ice as a developmental team. And now it just so happens that I messed around with tactics because I spent a lot of time, and I got them to advance out of the first round of the cup. And now we're actually getting more MFL from, like, okay, like, count me in. I'm going to make some transfers, add 3, actually create a spine, basically. I want a big striker. Yeah. I want a strong center mid that can actually pass, and I want a huge CB that can actually stop some balls from going to the net, God forbid. So if I figure if I can put that in, I can actually make a run to win this thing. And that's how my mind works.
Sounds great. Yeah.
I was going to say, on that, going back to the point I made just a second ago about, going to iron straight away, you skip 2 seasons. And you're saying that, you're consistently winning against silver, gold teams. Just say silver is where, like, you become, like, really competitive in terms of the relative competition. And obviously, probably in bronze next year, probably get promoted as well there. With fingers crossed. Probably lose a few because just how there'll be stronger competition in there than there is iron. But if you wanted to get from ice to silver, stone.
Yep. I'm not patient enough to wait. Yeah.
If you like a Jimbo froze, but
Oh yeah, he definitely froze. So
yeah,
we'll just keep chatting. He's got
I'll
that.
take. We'll keep chatting. I think it keeps
Yeah.
recording. You can go going back, but
But
yeah,
yeah,
it makes no sense to finish this point, right? It makes no sense to start in ice when you have such like ambition and a good group already. So it's great. Yeah, you did iron and move up to bronze.
yeah,
And
and I mean,
yeah,
Kelva,
that's good.
honestly, like the way that I'm playing right now in Iron, I know, like I suffered my first defeat, and I was really upset about that. And I know that that is going to happen occasionally, but I'm asking myself as I watch, like, was Iron the right place to start? Should I bought a bronze? Should I have bought a bronze
Yeah,
license and
yeah,
actually have
yeah.
been playing in bronze? And like, these are the questions you ask yourself. I'm like, Iron, okay, we can compete here.
Mm.
But when I look at other teams, like, how are they up there? Like, and I'm doing well. And the thing is, I think, to me at least, it's the amount of time and friendlies that I put in to figure out how to make this stuff work. And
Yeah,
so, I have a different approach for teams that are just quite honestly not as good as my team. I play a completely different formation. But then when I'm playing in the cup against equal or better opponents, it's a totally different formation. So like there's a big balance between it all.
yeah. No, definitely. Like, and I also like that the game rewards this, right? Like people who do spend a lot of time on it, who do tons of testing, who really scout opponents, can play with different formations, and that you can really get rewarded. You really notice similar teams can more often beat other similar teams, right? Because of the testing, because of the hard work,
Yeah.
the scouting preparation, and that's also how it should be. That you can have an edge with that, right? You said you're
Yeah.
Oakland Ace, like kind of the money ball, right? Like doing extra work, finding new approaches. You can get extra stuff out of there. Which is great.
Exactly. And I look at the friendlies like I would look at training, right? Like every team, like they don't just play on the weekend and then wait till the next weekend to play. They're constantly training and improving and staying fit. And like that's how I look at this stuff too. We're learning from a managerial perspective what we need to do. How can we compete with teams at or below our level? And how can we compete with teams above our level? And I'm finding ways because I have enough talent on my team. I believe at least, to do well and progress. But each game is going to be really difficult to do so. And I'm okay with that because I think that I've taken the amount of time necessary to figure out how to use my guys efficiently. And the big worry for me is, you're running in your cup and unfortunately your CDM has 4 yellow cards. Like that's a big concern from my perspective because if I lose him, I'm screwed, right? Like that's a big problem for me. And my question to you, and I don't remember how the suspensions work. That yellow card, if he gets it in the cup, can the next match, like if it's in the league, is that fine? That like the
There
card is rescinded?
an 18-hour window like in between. So it's never on the same day, but it's always
Okay.
on the next day. So if you have a cup match and a league match on the same day, and in
Yeah,
the cup you get suspended, it carries over to the next day.
to the next day. And the
Yeah,
next day doesn't have to be the League Cup. It can be the actual in season as well, because that's what I care about. Like I don't care if I'm suspended for with my
yeah.
CDM
No,
or
it's
a league
like
match.
yeah, this is 18-hour period within waiting period, let's say.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might have noticed that Jimbo is gone, that his whole screen is black. And he just messaged me on the Discord that he had a power cut. So maybe he's not here for the rest of the episode, but we can just keep going. And I'm also not sure how to technically finish this, but let's see how it goes.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out as long as we go, and we keep going. So yeah, great to hear about it. That your first experiences, your goals, your strategies, and the drop is coming up, and I think a lot of listeners are curious also about how do you approach the drop, and then maybe we can talk a bit about this debate regarding supply of players and prices. There's quite a big debate going on in general. So what's your plan for this drop? Do you want to buy all free packs or mostly rare? Like how do you approach
I
it?
will purchase an uncommon and a rare pack. Like that's just what I'll do. I'll get those two. I usually don't get like the kickoff intro packs. I just kind of like go with what I have there. And the goal for this is to get really lucky and get an 84 left back, so I don't have to, go buy one in my rare pack if I'm able to get a rare pack, right? Or worst case scenario, you get a 75 CB or something like that I can actually throw into my stone team, and get guys that I can actually, instead of purchasing or making loan deals, use them to help advance my team, my stone team, into the in the Aspen's Cup knockout rounds, and potentially save myself a relegation, because I am smack dab in last place, and it's not going to be easy to turn that dumpster fire around. So, but yeah, I will be purchasing the packs. I'll be purchasing the packs. I'll be looking to purchase other contracts as well to build up that Iron team, because again, I don't think that I can win or even advance out without getting better players, especially at the left back spot. So I think that that's the main part for me. I just need to draw or win my next match, which is the toughest part of the last round of the cup for me.
Yeah, but it's nice you said about this pack. Like, even if it's like a lower end rare, you can still, of course, use it in multiple ways. Plus, now with progression, it might be the next superstar. Maybe that's super high potential. You never know.
Exactly.
So I think nowadays, some people might say, okay, packs are overpriced, or they might get super disappointed. But yeah, there's so many different ways you can frame it and use those players for trade deals. Yeah, for just getting extra revenue. Train them, potential. So there's so many things. But yeah, great that you also see it in that way. What do you think? Well, Jimbo looks like is getting
Jimbo.
back in the studio.
Welcome back, friend.
Welcome, thank you.
we're back. We just kept talking, so
Good
in
man.
the editing you can listen to what we were saying.
Yeah.
But any opinion, Bob, about prices? Because there's always a big debate about supply, and it is like, again, a lot of rare packs will be sold. There's more rares coming in. Some people say in Iron, soon you need an all rare team in Iron, and then maybe you need an all rare in Stone, and maybe prices will go down. Like, what is your whole take on this? Like, your goal mainly is winning, right? So what's your take on this?
At the end of the day, the price is the price. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? And me as a new user, like, it was $160 for, I think, a rare pack, and I don't know what it's going to cost this time. I mean, short of it costing $300, like, I think I'm going to be okay with it, because I'm willing to go and make those kind of moves. I also understand the other points of, at some point, Iron's going to need all rares, and I get it that would make sense. Like, as you add more supply to the market, you need better cards. That's just like how these games and ecosystems work. The whole idea of retirement is how you remove some of these cards from the ecosystem. But retirement isn't going to remove cards fast enough to keep up with the influx. So at some point, Iron's going to be really freaking hard. You're going to at some point, you might need legendary in Iron if you want to get out. Like, that's just a reality of the ecosystem of these games. And we can complain about it and not like it, but that's the reality of when supply goes up. Like, there's just nothing we can do about that. Yeah. So it's either adjust or die, or stop playing, basically. So I get it. I'll be purchasing, I'll be using those players. I'd rather get up as high as I can before that supply issue really comes in. But, you have to figure out how to remove stuff and get stuff into the proper rates. And, if you are reducing the number of packs that are being sold, but you're selling them for more, then, hey, great. If you have to reduce the percentage chance of somebody pulling a rare from an uncommon pack or a kickoff pack, then you do those kind of things. Like, there are mechanisms that they can use. And honestly, the true path is, like, no one's ever perfect at these things. No one's ever going to be. And you're always going to be upset no matter what decisions are made or what the prices are. But yet, a lot of us will still just open up our wallets and buy away because we're having fun with it, And so, that's just the reality of things.
Yeah, true. And it's always, you can never please everyone. Like, some people rather see the value of their players go up, and then other people say the floor of entry and getting a good competitive team is way too high. So you can never satisfy everyone. Exactly what you say, just adapt make sure your team is set. You have a great team, you have fun, and you're winning. and then that's it, right? That's
Yeah,
the
and I mean,
process.
I struggle with the value aspect of things because your card is actually not worth anything. Like your card is actually worth zero until you decide to sell it, and then your card is not worth what you think it's worth. It's worth whatever the person wants to give
Hmm.
you. Right? Like that's the actual value of your card at that time.
Yeah.
So, we're seeing things go up. Like that doesn't mean anything to me because like you can see your valuation of your agency go up and up and up. If you're never going to sell, it's worth nothing. Like it's if you're never getting rid of them, it
True.
doesn't matter what that little imaginary number on the internet tells you. Like
Yeah.
that's just the reality of things. And
Yeah.
God forbid something happens where you have to dump it off, like you're lucky to get 50% of whatever the value is. And that's the reality of life too. And I think that we tend to get caught up on the details, and they're important details. Like I don't want to sound like I am saying the value of your players does not matter. It certainly does. But it's something that you as the user have to take into account, understanding that the price that you bought a card at is not going to be the price that you can actually sell a card at, or any of those kind of things that go through there. When I bought my car and I drove it off the lot, it was automatically worth like half of what I bought it for. And I didn't kick myself in the face saying, you're an idiot, you just made a bad purchase. I said, this is going to be the economic tool that'll allow me to drive back and forth to work so I can actually make the money to pay for things. So it's stuff like that, So
Yeah. Jimbo, any take on this?
So
Good to
just
be
just
back.
for thank you for those who wondered where I was. I had a power cut, and there was a slight worry that it was an actual outage rather than sort of like a trip of the power. It's interesting. There was I guess you talk about a discussion that was during the week. People were saying it's too many rares. I've just done some basic calculations here, just like a bit of quantitative approach rather than opinions backed up by nothing. There's about 6,800. This is using the player air table from MFL, which I don't know if it incorporates progression, so it could be a couple hundred out potentially, but 6,800 rares in the ecosystem. Some of them are still owned by MFL in their packs. Divide that by 25, because 25 spots is a maximum on a squad size, and you get about 270 odd. And that's like the top the third, fourth, and fifth divisions, and the sixth division. So gold, iron, bronze, silver, 720 teams. So I think people saying that there's too many rares, I don't think that's a problem in my eyes. Don't think there's too many. I think it's just, whereas unfortunately some sit within the ecosystem. Some people get a little bit angry because they're in places they probably shouldn't. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but they should be higher up. But that's just people's approaches to play the game. That's what I love about it. There's no right or wrong way to play MFL.
Just want to say it's not too high yet. Yet is the key word, right? Because every single season in transfers and mid-season transfer, there's a pack drop. At the end of the season, preseason, there's a pack drop. Those are the things that I think people that get worried take into account. And that's what I talk about when you come down to oversupply and what demand is. And they have to be in a decent balance. And the backers behind MFL, Dapper Labs, did not do a great job of this when a Top Shot. They simply didn't understand supply and demand in any way, shape, or form. And so that is something that I can understand that users get worried about, right? But it's not stopping me from having fun and trying to produce, what's going on here, because, it's fun. And this is my, I'm getting older. I can't play footy anymore. I don't do these things as much anymore. So this is my hobby. This is what I enjoy doing. It makes me happy.
I think that's also the best way to see it, is see it as a hobby,
100%.
and then just already say everything is, as you said before, it's just the value is zero, let's say. Treat it as that, as such, and then approach it like that and have fun and get the best result possible, get the most titles and cups. And yeah, of course, the game is changing, the supply changes, the team has to balance this between getting some income from pack drops. They need to get paid too, right? There's no other revenue streams.
No.
Maybe fees a tiny bit, but it's mainly
negligible
89%
compared to pack
drops.
drops. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So and there's like now this awkward phase until retirement and mass retirement. I think this is a great hashtag, by the way, Jimbo. Mass retirement. Until mass retirement is there. There is a bit of an awkward phase. We need to get through. And of course, with user growth, I just shout out another 20, 30 new users. That also takes up some of that supply. So I think in the end it will work out. But it's...
I think you'll probably, you see the supply of players increase, just say like increasing, and then once mass retirement kicks in, I think inevitably there will be still more supply coming out through packs and retirements. I don't think it'll be totally deflationary. There still has to be an element of inflation there because that's how they generate their revenue. They'll probably sell slightly more players, if it even be like 2% more than retire. So that rate of supply will increase, but just not at a rapid rate once mass retirement comes in. But at the moment, rares are only 8% of like the players. And I think when you look at it like percentage-wise, that's not a massive percentage, but it seems massive because they're like a really good rarity, and everyone sees them so often. But actually 8% of 700, but yeah, it's like 72,000 odd. Not that many players. But yeah, like I said, Gav, we are in this limbo area where until we, another 5 seasons, 6 maybe, till the average retirement hits, we will just see supply increase. I think we will have to just bite the bullet with that a bit because we know it's going to happen, but we hopefully that after that it will look different.
And
we also had progression. We
of course, progression.
Take that right into the progression also generates a lot of like 73, 74, 72 uncommons all turn into rare. So there's also natural growth there.
I mean, but they have natural mechanisms already built into the structure of the game to stop all of the ice and stone teams being completely rares, don't they? Like, you add another league in iron, you add another league in silver that are used. You know what I mean? Like, you just there are other slots. Like there are ways to make it so that you can use, like, you could actually force shift a lot of those things into different types of scarcities by adding or subtracting different types of teams and the amount of teams that are in each one. Obviously, they're not going to subtract, but you can always add more to iron to like actually make it work out. Like, you can add different. They had just, I don't know, there are smarter people than me that have a plan for this and like good, because I don't want to deal with the stress of this stuff. But like, there are ways, there are mechanisms in the game where they can address it, but supply and demand will always be the number one issue with anything like this. Yeah. And the mass retirement is a unique thing. I mean, my question just to the ether is, should there just be a standard age where people are going to retire? Would that be better for you as a user to know that at 32 your player retires and his journey is done? Like, so that way you actually have hard brackets. That's what Futium, isn't it? That's what
Futium is. Futium's a hard cap retirement age, isn't it? I think it is.
That's but I like the.
There's more certainty in that.
MFL is not. Yeah, but it's not. The fun is it's not predictable with like both the progression is very unpredictable and unique. We talked about it in Nepenthes in a bit more detail. That makes it really fun, and that it's hard to get the grasp on, and also the retirement. That some guys you can even get another extra 10 years out of them. Like that's right. Huge, right? So that's really fun, and also rewards people by spotting those like little signs, maybe of retirement.
Well, there's no spotting, because second they hit the 3 year, you now get an image comes up.
Oh yeah.
So there was supposed to be, but now they just got we'll give you a 3 year warning. Like,
although it's still spotting because some people don't read, so you still need to be able to read and spot that thing. But I like that there is not a hard. Hard, like that's much better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I want it. Like, I think it's an idea.
It's an idea, definitely.
Right? Like, I want to see. Like, I'm waiting for the first time that the 22-year-old gets the going to retire in 3 years thing, because instead of actually retiring, he's actually being drafted by Prison FC.
Oh,
just like
Adam
most
Johnson,
of the football players
Greenwood,
are. Like,
Mendy.
Like, you know what I mean? Just like, because guys don't all retire like in their
Yeah.
mid 30s. Like there's guys through a whole number of
You
reasons
get an
that retire
inbox.
earlier, right?
Have I got a referral for today? Oh no, my player will now longer have no utility due to the fact that he has done X indecent thing and is now in prison for the next
Yes.
15 years. Oh, look at that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? And then they can create their own side, like offshoot game of Prison FC 1, 2, and 3.
Pick up
you
game
know?
prison games, something.
the real tier jail is there. But,
The real tier jail,
PF,
yes.
PF,
tier
The
jail.
development
PFL.
center. They're all 100
Yeah,
at some point,
PFL.
right?
Well, this could be. This ties in nicely with our final questions, usually from our previous guest. And you already mentioned a potential feature here, like extra career paths. Let's call it like that. So the question from our last guest, Nepenthes, was if you could add any new feature, what would it be? So did you think about this? Do you have a feature you would love to add? To
Two
MFL?
things.
Ooh.
Two things. Nice.
Two things. Please give me a filter called height.
Yes.
It's simple. Like, it's on floaty. Like, just let me search by height because I'm sick of having to click through every single center back and find out that they're 5'6" or 5'8". You know, I want my 6'4" monster. I want my Peter Crouch striker that's 7'4". Like,
Just
I
a
want
bit
to
more
be able to
muscular as
search
well.
on specific things. Yeah. I want to be able to search on that because I think it may not matter in the dev logic of the game, but man, when a big striker comes at my short center backs, he is scoring like mad. So there's something in the engine that definitely takes that into account. So I would love to be able to search on that because I want certain guys. I want a big holding mid for my CDM. Like I want guys like that. I want to be able to build my team. I'd rather have quick strikers, quick wingers that don't need to be 7 feet tall, right? Like I want something like that to make life a little easier. So that's number one, and I think that's a pretty straightforward thing for filters that they could probably do. And then number two, please give us a way for new users like myself to have access to the development center without having to use MFL.
Yeah, I heard this one on the Ramble. Yeah,
We didn't we talk with Nepenthes also?
Yeah,
about
'cause
this,
I think
or was
probably
it
'cause-
someone else.
Bob and Nep were agreeing with each other on the Ramble pod when they mentioned it a couple of weeks ago. I remember you saying this. Yeah,
Exactly.
Oh, it was on
Yeah,
the Ramble.
I
I was like,
remember them saying
I heard
yes.
this before, but it was maybe on
No.
the Ramble. But I really like that idea of this like welcome package that you could have like a club pack, kickoff packs plus like 1,000 MFL as like a combo that allows you straight away to have dev center access or dev passes or something. Yeah.
I think it's straightforward. I mean, you're paying $80 for a club license. Like, give me some MFL to use with it, and let me have
fair enough.
access to the dev center. And if you want to call it out, it could just be like a dev pass. Like I heard that they gave those out before.
Yeah.
Dev center pass. You don't even need to give me MFL. Just give me a way to be able to put a guy in to my dev center. And like I would prefer having the option. I would like it to have 4 seasons worth of dev, right? So it's 4 seasons worth of dev, and if I want to put 4 guys in there for 1 season each, I can do that. Or if I have a 16-year-old, I can put them in there for 4 years and see what happens. Like that, I think that would be incredible.
Yeah. I
For
think
new
allowing
users when
you
you're learning
to have
about
a
it.
little bit of a flavor, a tester with a development center without having to go through a season or X amount of seasons to contribute into it. Yeah, I agree. It's like I had a referral in 7-8 weeks on Thursday during the stream, and the guy in one of his starter packs got a 16-year-old 64 red striker, and I'm like, that is prime for when you can't join the season. I know you got Redemption Cup. Could you stick him in for your 4 seasons now? And then in 4 years' time, he could be, just say, even if he goes up by 4, 68 rated, then you've got someone with utility you can use then. I think I really like the idea of just something, whether it be like having the promos or thing. It might have been on the Ramble pod or in the general chat, someone saying even sort of like finishing some quests or the tutorial or something like that, you get a little bonus. Just say, "Oh, congrats for completing all these." Yeah. So I go in. So I think something like that's a really great idea. Just to once you set up your club and you establish it, bosh, here you go. Is 500. And then I don't think that's a huge amount for them to give away in the grand scheme of things.
And then remove your background is
Yeah, move
another
your background.
1,000 MFL. They should really incentivize that for the overall ecosystem
We're
aesthetics.
the background
let's say.
police.
Yeah. Okay. Or OrangeFly, do you have another a question for our next guest? We don't know who it will be, but do you have a question? Something you want to know?
I really want to know what they did for the transfer portal, with the transfer window, and if that was their plan, if they planned to do that, because we haven't really talked a ton about. I don't hear a lot of conversations about transfer, but transfer for a new user, especially, and then an experienced user, are two completely different monsters. I have to imagine that like guys like Dio and Ronan have a completely different view of what they should be doing with the transfer portal versus somebody like me, who I just want to bring guys in, but I don't know if it's smart or economical or how to do it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm finding is that I'm trying to message people because I want to buy guys off the marketplace, but they're on contract. And these people are not, if I buy them, they're not committed to releasing those people, those cards, at the transfer window. Like, no one is committed to do this, right? And I get it. It's just like, it's like a buy-on clause, right? Like, you can, come in January in the January window, or you come in at the end of the season for the start of the next season. And I get that, but I would love that, and I'm curious if other people think that there's a better communication method to actually discuss that stuff on site, because one of the things you need to do is drive traffic to your site all the time. And I'm finding that when I have conversations with you guys, it's over Discord or Twitter. Like, there's no internal communication system to actually go through this kind of stuff. So I really want to know what other people think of internal communication systems and what they do at the transfer window and like how they approach it.
Okay,
Very
so like
interesting.
two questions, but I like both of them.
You can just save some for yourself, Calvin, take credit for it like later on. It's okay. It's all good.
Okay.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the time of the podcast where we reveal the hashtag for today's episode. Last week we had hashtag mature content. This week's hashtag is hashtag prison retirement. I felt we couldn't quite go with the prison FC, but we try to incorporate the mass retirement chat with a bit of prison FC. So we've combined the two together to make an amalgamation of hashtag prison retirement. So if you're hearing this, go into the Discord, no context, just drop hashtag prison retirement to prove you've been listening. Before we wrap things up, OrangeFly, I want to say a massive thank you for coming on the pod this evening. It was great to have you on. All the insights, your questions, your answers, most importantly, your drive to win, I think, is phenomenal. So we'll be tuning into your careers over the many, many seasons to check up on how that winning is going on. Thank you for being on the pod, my man. Have you enjoyed yourself?
Hey, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate being here. I appreciate all the knowledge. And, I just want to leave you guys with one of my favorite quotes from a Mighty Ducks movie. It's not worth winning if you can't win big. Let's go, boys.
Big up, right.
Nice. Great one.
On that note, we will hopefully see you all on Wednesday for the mid-season pack drop. Well, we're going to see you all there. We're not going to hopefully. We're going to see you all there. You're all going to tune in. You've got no choice. You're on the website because we're going to be there talking to you live and direct, embedded with MFL website. So we'll see you then. Good luck for the remainder of your games before the mid-season transfer window, and we'll catch you this time next week for an episode of the WenDirkCast. Thank you for listening.